T.S. Eliot's family moved to St. Louis from New England in 1834. He was born in 1888 into a distinguished family. Eliot's grandfather, William Eliot, founded several schools and universities, and he led them to St. Louis. He lived in St. Louis until he was 18 and went to Harvard for college. After he graduated, he left the United States to attend a university in Paris. After a year in Paris, he returned to Harvard and studied philosophy. Then he returned to Europe and settled in England in 1914. He began working in London as a teacher and then a banker. At this time, he married Vivian Highwood. Ezra Pound assisted Eliot in publishing his poetry after recognizing his poetic talents and gave Eliot the nickname Old Possum. His first book of poems, Prufrock and Other Observations, was published in 1917, which established him as a leading poet. At this time, the United States entered World War I, and Eliot tried to join the U.S. Navy, but he was rejected because of physical reasons. Eliot's style of writing reflected the feeling of confusion for American and European societies during the war. His poem, The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock, was one of his most influential poems because it clearly explained the confusion and mental state of the people during World War I. Many men had been turned away from the armed forces, just like Eliot. No one was sure why the war was happening, and the world as a whole, especially America, was facing growing pains. America was on the brink of becoming a major world leader. When his poem, The Wasteland, was published in 1922, his reputation as a poet grew to a new level. This led to him becoming one of the most dominant figures in poetry and literary criticism in the English-speaking world. He converted to the Anglican Church, which made his beliefs more conservative, and this showed in his writing. English and French symbolist poets influenced his poetic techniques. His poems emphasized the post-World War I generation in Victorian era. He didn't only write poems, but also plays. In 1927, Eliot dropped his American citizenship and became a British citizen. He became the director of a publishing house, Faber & Faber, at this time. Eliot was unhappy with his first marriage and separated from his first wife. Then, he married Valerie Fletcher. He was not an extraordinarily outgoing man. His favorite hobby was playing solitaire. Eliot received the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1948. Tragically, Eliot died in 1965 because of his long history of smoking. He was cremated and his ashes were taken back to New England. Even though most American authors are big multitaskers and lived extremely eventful lives, he preferred to keep his life on the quiet side, proving that you don't need to be the center of attention to be a great writer.